working on the house for what felt like forever, I decided to spend day 33 making more fell pumpkins so that we can actually go to the nether soon. So I headed over to the mob farm to find it griefed by what I would assume was a creeper. So I patched it up and spent a while slashing up mobs until I had a decent amount of drops again, and then headed back over to the farm to grab some more pumpkins that I then once again crafted into fell pumpkins. And after I was done with that, I had to sift through a little bit more gravel to find some iron, because I need to use it on these fell pumpkins to get the end result of a blaze. And once I had enough, I put it in the blast furnace and crafted myself a full set of tools and almost a full set of diamond armor, but I was just one short. But hey, I'll take 3 pieces over nothing. Then, once I decked myself out, I grabbed my iron, crafted it into bars, and made a little blaze battle arena where I went and dispatched a bunch of them until I had enough blaze powder, and went to craft my mesh, but apparently this time it's made from blaze rods, not powder, so that entire process was entirely useless. And in my disappointment, I decided to call it a day and headed to bed. On day 34, I had the big brain idea and used the fired crucible to smelt down cobblestone into lava and then just turn that lava into obsidian. I really have no clue why I didn't think of this sooner, considering we had the lava this entire time, but either way, I just sat and waited next to the crucible, topping it up with stone when needed, and then taking out the lava, making it into obby and picking it back up. So I just continued the whole cycle until I had enough obby for an enchantment table and a portal, and then I went and built the portal underneath the stairs and went to bed. And on day 35, it was time to check out the nether. So I made a flint and steel, made a shield, lit the portal, and headed in, to find that there was absolutely nothing here. It's just void. But I mean, what else is there to be expected? It's skyblock, really. So I built a little platform around the portal and headed back home. Woo! Nether trip is over! So I spent the rest of the day removing the mob farm, and once it was gone, I added a line of dirt to let grass spread over, and then went to bed. And on day 36, I decided that I'd had enough of sieving for iron and instead decided to make myself some iron seeds that I didn't know existed until now. So I made the seeds and planted them down, and boom, now we have an automatic way to get iron that I don't have to sieve through all night. Iron seeds out of the way, I spent the rest of the day placing down dirt to fill in the space between the islands, and actually managed to get around half the actual total island filled in. And by nightfall, I was done with the dirt, so I harvested my iron and went to bed. Now, on the following few days, I added a bunch of seeds and crops to my farm, and then made things look a little bit better by replacing the torches with lanterns and adding a few walls as well. And then also discovered grass seeds that, well, would you guess, they turn dirt into grass. I don't know why I never even thought of attempting to use them earlier, but anyways. I broke down a bunch of cobble into sand and then crafted it into sandstone before placing a layer of it around each of the outer islands, as well as making an iron wand that made the whole placing of everything just so much easier. Oh, and I also trapped this zombie villager right here who may come in useful later, I don't know. But after the success of the previous days, I called things there and went to bed. And on day 42, I grabbed some flowers and a bunch of birch saplings and began planting them and chopping them down in search of a beehive, because I want to make a bee farm, and well, I can't do that without bees. So after a while of deleting birch trees, I finally got a hive to spawn, so I bred the bees, added a little bit more dirt into the gaps, and finally used my sugarcane seeds to grow some, and planted it down over at the farm, and then spent the rest of the evening just looking through the mods to see what I wanted to tackle next. Oh, and I also spent the night sieving for diamonds, because why not? Now on day 43, the mod I decided to go with was the Botania mod, I think it is. I don't know, there's Botanica, Botania, I don't know, I get them all confused. It's another flower mod, okay? Woo. I bet you didn't see that coming. What a surprise. So I went over to breed my bees, but they weren't out just yet. So instead, I went and filled another island with dirt, which was so much easier with this wand. Then I popped down my pure daisies and got to work on making some living materials so that I can actually get started. Now, whilst actually waiting for the materials to change, I crafted myself some time in a bottle that's going to be super helpful for doing a lot of things. Then I grabbed my Botania blocks and bred my bees because they were out now, and then spent the night just casually farming out more living blocks, and whilst waiting for them to actually change, I used the wand to fill in more dirt between the islands that I actually ended up getting finished because it's all thanks to this wand. Honestly, they're so OP. But no thanks to this zombie that almost boofed me off. Other than that unkind fellow, I basically just spent the night farming out blocks. And on the following morning, I crafted myself a wand, mana pool, and mana spreader, and then proceeded to set it all up on the island, as well as crafting a bunch of endo flame flowers that I then placed down and linked to the mana spreader, gave them a bunch of coal, and boom, there we go, we've got a mana power source now. I'm sure I'm going to use that so much. And I also spent a little bit of time tending to the bee farm a little bit, breeding them and making a second hive. But after dealing with that, I made myself an autosieve. Ooh, yeah, look at this. Automation. So that things can just get done passively in the background and I need not worry. However, my happiness was short-lived when I found out really quickly that it needed a power source. So I know what I'm doing in the morning. So as soon as I awoke on day 45, I immediately began work on a power source. Now, this whole process was hella confusing initially, and there was quite a bit of setup, with breaking down and sieving of blocks for materials, and making some water seeds and filling in islands with stone and bricks, but eventually I had all the materials I needed and crafted all of the necessary items to begin making power. Then placing it all down, then breaking down iron and nickel into invar. This is a whole confusing process, okay? I told you, it's a long and tedious process to set up power. But eventually, after getting some invar ingots, I managed to make some other things for the mod pack, such as this magmatic dynamo and a bunch of pipes that I then set up straight from a lava generator. That way we've got the most efficient power possible currently. Also, at this part, I owe a huge shout out to Chosen Architect. Honestly, his series is so informative with this mod pack, and none of this would be possible without him, okay? So go check his channel out, okay? Very informative for all the mods. So I finally placed down and tested out the autosieve to find out that it now had power. Woo! We can finally use it. Well, not just yet, because I still need to check and craft a few more things, such as like a little mini storage area underneath the islands to store away all of this lovely ore that we're going to be getting from this bad boy. So eventually, after building up a room and piping everything up, I tested things out, and would you look at that, everything works perfectly. Now, this took so long, but I'm pretty sure it's so worth it. Now, all I really need to do is just make more autosieves, but that's a job for another day. We need to restock on mats first. So for now, I just made some pipe upgrades and called it a day. And for the following couple of days, I bred some more bees and gave them some more flowers, as well as also adding an automated way for me to get dust, sand, and gravel without really having to do anything for myself. So that's really useful for keeping my autosieves up and running. And once I got those out of my way, I treated myself to a backpack and fully upgraded it, and that's just going to make moving things around so much easier. I mean, just look at the sheer size of this thing. But anyways, after all of that, I began work on making a big water circle around my house because, I don't know, I like water features. I think they look cool. Now, this actually ended up taking me all night and through the next day. However, I think it looks pretty good, especially with all the glowstone that I got from sieving dust and the walls and lanterns. But boom, here's our lovely little water ring. I think it looks quite nice. Now, on day 56, I went and grabbed a bunch of dirt essence, crafted it into dirt, and then added 2 layers of it around the outsides of all the islands because it just needed doing, and I knew it would be quite a tedious job. So after placing dirt all day and deep into the night, a bunch of mobs started getting in the way. So I headed to bed and continued on in the morning, filling in more dirt and adding sandstone for all of day 57. Alrighty, day 58. I headed over to what I now call the mechanical island and grabbed all of the netherite scrap pieces that I got from sieving through gravel, crafted them all into ores and put them in the auto smelter. And whilst that was doing its thing, I made a smithing table, then combined all of the netherite scrap into ingots, and also made myself a brand new shiny set of diamond armor and tools, yes, including a hoe. Then I turned them all into netherite because we're just balling now, okay? Just look at the amount of netherite you end up with in this mod pack. It is absolutely crazy. I literally have over a stack. This is the most netherite I have ever held, okay? This is the richest I've been in this game. Anyways, back on track. After decking myself out, I headed over to the farm and harvested my sugarcane as well as grabbing some wheat because I could really do with some more bread. Then I crafted a bunch of bookshelves and used my remaining books to make an enchantment table that I just put in my backpack for now because I don't really have a place to place it down, and then just headed to bed.